Venezuela, Pentagon said 2 Venezuelan military aircraft flew over a U.S. naval vessel in international waters off the coast. Pardon me. This comes following a recent U.S. strike on a speedboat allegedly carrying drugs from Venezuela. 11 people were killed aboard a vessel from Venezuela that Donald Trump said was carrying illegal narcotics. Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump hosted top tech CEOs at the White House, while the list featured several prominent figures from major tech and artificial intelligence firms. It excluded SpaceX and Tesla boss Elon Musk, once a close ally of Trump, who had earlier been tasked with running the Department of Government Efficiency. Among those in attendance were Meta founder Mark Zuckerberg, Apple CEO Tim Cook, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, Google founder Sergey Brin, OpenAI founder Greg Brockman, among others. While former ally Elon Musk was absent, the list did include one of his rivals, and that is Sam Altman of OpenAI. Once marked by clashes over regulation, Silicon Valley's relationship with Trump now appears to have reset after Trump's 2024 election win. In a fiery Senate hearing, U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. defended his controversial overhaul of the nation's vaccine policies amid mounting calls from Democrats for his resignation. The hearing lasted over 3 hours, often breaking into heated arguments, coming just days after the sudden dismissal of CDC Director Monarez, a move that has thrown the country's top public health agency into chaos. Kennedy sharply criticized the CDC's handling of the pandemic, calling their guidance on masking, social distancing, and school closures disastrous and nonsensical. He argued that the agency needs bold, competent, and creative new leadership and highlighted his department's focus on chronic disease. Zelensky has refused Russian President Vladimir Putin's invitation to come to Moscow for a bilateral meeting. The Ukrainian president reiterated the need for security guarantees for Kyiv, emphasizing that it should have a strong Ukrainian army. At a press conference with French President Emmanuel Macron, Zelensky clarified that he had learned of the invitation from American partners, and Putin had invited Zelensky to Moscow for a meeting following his visit to China. Later, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiga called Putin's proposal unacceptable. The United States warned countries against recognizing a Palestinian state, saying it would create more problems. Marco Rubio declined to comment on Israeli annexation plans for the West Bank, saying it was not final. Major European powers said they are prepared to recognize an independent Palestinian state within weeks, with Britain, France, Canada, Australia, and Belgium backing the move at the upcoming UN General Assembly. Speaking on Russia-U.S. relations, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said ties between Moscow and Washington have significantly deteriorated as a result of the policies of former U.S. President Joe Biden's administration, adding that the ongoing normalization process will be lengthy and requires patience. The Trump administration intends to halt long-time security assistance programs for Europe. In a statement, the White House said that its move to slash security assistance was coordinated with the Europeans and is consistent with Trump's executive order to reevaluate the U.S. foreign aid and his long-standing emphasis on ensuring that Europe takes more responsibility for its own defense. A spokesman for the Kremlin said that Western countries cannot provide security guarantees for Ukraine. The remarks come after the Paris summit was hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron and attended by Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. The meeting represented a new push led by Macron to show that Europe can act independently of the United States. Chinese President Xi Jinping and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un pledged mutual support and enhanced cooperation during talks in Beijing after commemoration of the end of World War II. Kim has been on a rare foreign visit to China, his most important ally, joining Russia's Vladimir Putin alongside Xi at a massive military parade in Beijing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mauritius Prime Minister will be holding key bilateral meeting next week in the Indian city of Kashi on the 11th of September. The upcoming visit will be his first to India after taking charge last year. During the visit, several MOUs are expected to be signed with a focus on increased engagement, especially at people-to-people level. In Jammu and Kashmir, a total of 283 houses were damaged and 950 people evacuated following heavy rain, flash floods and landslides in Ramban district. The district suffered damage to 84 roads, 98 water supply schemes and 71 power feeders due to continuous rain. Union Science Minister Jitendra Singh has announced installation of additional radars in Jammu and Kashmir for improved weather forecast and early warning. Delhi residents are facing severe waterlogging from incessant rain and flood waters from the rising Yamuna River. The river remains above the danger mark, causing floods in low-lying areas, relief camps and a village in Noida. So far, over 8,000 people have been moved to tents and 2,000 to permanent shelters as authorities grapple with the situation. Kokichi Akuzawa became the oldest person to summit Mount Fuji at 102 years old. His achievement is now recognized by Guinness World Records after he reached the top in early August. Japan's top trade negotiator welcomed U.S. President Donald Trump's order to lower tariffs on Japanese auto imports, bringing relief after months of tense negotiations. The move cuts duties from 27.5% to 15%, with some retroactive to early August, and will take effect 7 days after official publication. The agreement reduces uncertainty for Japan's massive auto industry, which had been hit by tariffs pressures during talks. Alongside tariff relief, the U.S. confirmed Japan's pledge of $550 billion in investments in American projects. Asian markets tracked Wall Street higher on Friday, with Japan's Nikkei and Taiwan stocks up 0.8% each, while Hong Kong and mainland shares added 0.4%, that is. The rally came as Treasury yields eased to 4-month lows, reinforcing bets that the Federal Reserve will cut rates this month. Futures now price in a near certain quarter-point cut on the 17th of September and up to 60 basis points of reductions this year. Weak labour signals have strengthened the case. US jobless claims rose more than expected and private hiring slowed in August. Economists see non-farm payrolls adding 75,000 jobs in August, keeping attention firmly on tonight's data. Gold prices inched higher on Friday and are on track for their strongest week in 3 months, supported by rising expectations of a US interest rate cut this month. This rally comes as weak US labor data, including higher jobless claims and soft private payrolls, bolster the case for policy easing. Analysts say market dynamics, Trump's pressure on the Fed, and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict remain supportive for bullion. Attention now turns to the US non-farm payrolls report due later today for signal on the Fed's path forward. Elsewhere, silver, platinum and palladium also edged higher. Oil prices eased for a third straight day on Friday as investors awaited a crucial OPEC meeting this weekend. The group, which accounts for about half of the world's oil, is considering raising production in October, unwinding 1.65 million barrels per day of cuts, more than a year earlier than planned. Adding pressure, US crude inventories unexpectedly rose by 2.5 million barrels last week against forecasts of a draw as refineries entered maintenance season. Meanwhile, geopolitics added fresh uncertainty. Trump urged European leaders to stop buying Russian oil, a move that could tighten global supplies and drive prices higher. OpenAI is set to produce its first artificial intelligence chip next year in partnership with US semiconductor giant Broadcom. The Financial Times has reported the ChatGPT maker plans to use the chip internally rather than sell it to customers. OpenAI, which relies heavily on computing power, has been working with Broadcom and TSMC to design in-house silicon while still using AMD and NVIDIA chips. The move is aimed at cutting costs and reducing reliance on NVIDIA. Broadcom CEO Hock Tan confirmed over $10 billion in AI infrastructure orders, hinting at new major clients. OpenAI's push mirrors Google, Amazon and Meta, which have already built custom chips for AI workload. Autonomous vehicle startup is expanding testing in Dallas as it gets ready to roll out self-driving robo-taxis on the Uber platform later this year. The move follows its partnership with Uber announced last year, which already saw the delivery robots debut on Uber Eats in Austin, later expanding to Dallas and Jersey City. But year-end Uber riders in Dallas will be able to book robo-taxis powered by Hyundai's Ioniq E5 EV platform integrated with the self-driving tech. The startup partnered with Hyundai in March to jointly develop the robo-taxis and also works with Grubhub to deploy delivery robots on US college campuses. The expansion marks another step towards making autonomous rides a part of daily life. North Korean hackers are targeting the cryptocurrency industry with fake job offers to steal digital assets, according to new research done by US cybersecurity firms. The scams, called Contagious Interview, involve bogus recruiters reaching out on LinkedIn or Telegram and tricking applicants into downloading malicious code. According to the research between January and March this year, hackers targeted more than 230 people globally, including developers, executives, and consultants. Researchers say the operation is part of North Korea's broader crypto theft campaign, with blockchain firm Chain Analysis estimating hackers stole at least $1.34 billion in 2024 to fund Pyongyang's sanctioned weapons program.